I'm Captain Brownell Douglas. My friends call me Brownie. What those fellows down below were calling me, I could only guess. But they made it pretty plain they weren't my friends. My survival chances were about 100 to 1 against. And even at those tempting odds, you'd have had to look far and wide to find any takers.
Instrument of flight, the R-4 Sikorsky helicopter. Today, the many uses of this versatile aircraft are familiar to us all. But there was a time not so very long ago when the chopper was regarded as an amusing freak whose value as a piece of military equipment only slightly exceeded that of the ping-pong paddle. This is the story of one of the first practical wartime uses of the helicopter. February 1945. Officially, the Philippines campaign had been declared closed. But in a valley 50 miles north of Manila, there were 6,000 Japanese troops who apparently hadn't bothered to read GHQ's directive. Everyone, it seemed, had some part to play in this action. Everyone, that is, with the notable exception Captain Brownell Douglas. With the accoutrements of war all about him, Brownie was assigned the uninspiring task of piloting an R-4 helicopter between the mainland and a Liberty ship which was anchored in Manila Bay. For Brownie, it was bad enough that he was stuck with a spectator's seat, but that his chopper should be the constant target of jokes and jibes was downright humiliating.
Don't get too close to it, Captain. I think it's getting ready to lay an egg.
No kidding. Could have sworn it was a marsupial. Oh, it's very funny. You comics ought to sign up for a USO tour. Do you have any idea how much these contraptions cost? I'd like to get my kid one for his birthday.
Oh, why buy one, Captain? Build it yourself. All you need is an egg beater, a couple of rubber bands, an erector set. Isn't that right, Brownie?
Now, for your information, this aircraft is probably the biggest step forward aviation's taken since the invention of the bucket seat. Now, if this machine is all you claim it is, how come no one's been able to dream up a practical use for it? Well, I don't know where you got that idea. There are plenty of uses for the R-4. Important uses.
Yeah? Name one.
Well, yes, Sergeant.
We just received a radio message from Colonel Towns, sir. He wants you to deliver a package to him when you return to the ship.
There, you see? Just one of the many important functions of the R-4. Probably some critical supplies that are urgently needed at the front. Did the Colonel say where I was to call for this package?
Yes, sir. At the laundry, sir. I believe it's the Colonel's underclothes.
Chalk up another distinguished feat for the valiant little R-4.
Every man has his own built-in pressure gauge, I suppose. Certainly no one could accuse me of having a low boiling point. But a person can simmer for just so long. Then he has to either release the accumulated steam or blow his top. By the time I sat down on the Liberty ship, I had my whole speech rehearsed. I knew exactly what I was going to say to my CO, Colonel Towns. Of course, there was no way of telling what he was going to say to me.
Now, Brownie, just because of a little razzing, you can do...
A little? Colonel, you could comb the islands. You couldn't find one enlisted man that can salute me with a straight face.
Well, if it's respect you want, Lieutenant.
No, sir. It's not respect. It's a feeling that I'm doing something. I'm making a contribution. That's what I want. That's why I'm asking you to grant my request for transfer. Now, I joined up to fight. not to be an airborne taxi driver.
Well, suppose I let you go. Who'd take your place?
I don't know. Maybe you could, maybe you could rotate the job. It could be like KP, a form of disciplinary punishment.
Well, you know better than that. The R-4 needs a trained man at the stick. You and Captain Pagano are the only qualified chopper pilots I have.
Sir, I'm not denying that the R-4 may be a great boon to post-war aviation. But out here, it's about as practical as a mink coat.
That's where you're wrong, Lieutenant. I happen to be of the minority opinion that the R-4 has a definite military potential. It's up to us to discover it.
I know, sir, but
I want that ship kept in the air. Running errands, transporting laundry, chauffeuring VIPs, any excuse to get it up there. Every moment that ship's in flight, we're learning something new about it. One of these times, you or Captain Pagano are going to return from a trip with the answer. Have I made myself clear?
Oh, very clear.
All right. You have your ship gassed up and ready to take off in 15 minutes. I promised Colonel Stedman you'd give him a demonstration flight.
Quite an interesting little gadget you've got here, Lieutenant. However, there's one thing that's puzzling me.
What's that, sir?
What on earth do you use it for?
Who's your cargo?
A wounded GI. Just brought him in from behind our lines up north.
No hurry now, sir. This man's dead.
He can't be.
Internal bleeding. Must have died during the flight. If you'd only gotten him here a few minutes sooner.
I tried, Brownie.
Oh, sure you did, Wes.
You heard what the man said. I just got him here a few minutes sooner.
Well, you can't blame yourself. You did what you could.
If there was any way I could get through to them, I would, but everything's jungle, gullies, and ravines up there. As far as the eye can see, not one lousy patch of level ground.
They have to bring their wounded to you?
They're forced to cart them 5, sometimes 10 miles. The roads are no better than goat paths. No wonder half of them are dead before we can even evacuate.
Oh, let me get this straight. You mean to say, if we could only get a plane into where they are, additional lives may be saved?
Oh, forget it, Brownie. I've taken my L5 in as close as any plane can get. The ship hasn't been built that can land in those gullies.
Aren't you forgetting my tinker toy? You said we'd eventually bring you the answer, Colonel. All right, here it is.
Am I to understand, Brownie, that you propose using the R-4 to evacuate wounded from behind the lines?
I propose using the R-4 to do the kind of work it was cut out for, sir. A situation like this was tailor-made for your chopper.
You're bound and determined to get close to some action, aren't you?
To tell you the truth, Colonel, I hadn't even looked at it from that angle.
Well, I have no objections. Of course, Captain Pagano is your section chief. Under the circumstances, I think the final decision ought to be up to him.
You'll be flying directly over that nest of Japanese. The chopper can't make anywhere near the speed of an L5. The enemy can knock you down with a well-aimed rock.
Not if I fly low enough. By skimming the treetops, I figure to be past the Japanese before they have a chance to draw a bead.
Brownie, if I thought you even had a chance of succeeding.
You know, I helped unload a body today. I was only a kid. He couldn't have been more than 19. He didn't have to die, Angie. He was dead because you can't land an L5 in a gully.
When do you want to start?
At 0730 hours, June 12th, 1945, the R-4 was gassed up and stood ready to take off on history's first helicopter Mercy flight.
Good luck, compadre. Vaya con Dios. I still say that thing will never replace the egg beater.
The plan was simple enough. Carrying a minimum fuel load, it would be possible to evacuate the wounded by twos. Captain Pagano and I would alternate runs. All this was predicated, of course, on my ability to safely slip past 6,000 Japanese. I thought by hugging the treetops, I could outrun the Jap guns before they had a chance to fix me in their sights. That was my big mistake. The enemy had apparently heard me coming and sent word ahead. They were waiting for me. Without an ounce of retaliatory armament, I was a sitting duck. Pagano had been right. I hadn't a chance of getting through, not a chance. Maybe it was true. The R-4 was just a useless freak.
Had to turn out this way, Brownie. To tell the truth, I had hopes for your idea.
You don't think this is going to stop me, do you?
You intend to try again?
About 10 minutes.
You must be crazy.
I never denied it. Since when is sanity a prerequisite for this job? Don't you get it?
Lieutenant, you look like an intelligent officer. Tell him that it's plain suicide to go up there again.
It'll work. If I can stay on course both ways, I can just make it.
What'll work? Would somebody mind telling me what's going on?
Oh, look here, Angie. Now, you can see for yourself. Now, here are the Japs, all through this area here. Now, up here, that's where our boys are bedded down. Now, as a crow flies, in order to reach them, I'm forced to pass over the enemy position. So, suppose instead of driving up the main street, I circle around through the suburbs.
That's just dandy, except for one thing.
Fuel load.
Uh-huh. With that extra mileage, you can't possibly make a two-way stretch. You'll be dry by the time you get there.
I thought of that, too. I'm having the men install an auxiliary tank. Oh, yeah. That'll be just about finished. Well, I plan to jettison the extra tank when I get there, but still cramp my style a little, of course. I'd figured on carting the wounded out two at a time. With the excess fuel load, I can only handle one. All set? Stop worrying, Pagano. Nothing's going to happen to me. See? St. Christopher medal.
Well, why didn't you say so?
As I neared my destination, I made radio contact with the ground units. I could hear them, but I couldn't see them.
Come along just fine, Lieutenant. Matter of fact, if you was a chicken hawk, I could pick you off without ruffling your feathers.
I give up. Where are you?
Jog to the left, just a whisker. Easy, easy. All right, now haul back on the reins.
How's this?
Dead ahead, there's a high rise, naked except for some scrub grass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see it.
As soon as you clear the hump, you can ease her down. Only careful where you park that gadget, huh? I don't mind being shot at, but I sure would hate to be decapitated.
Where's everybody else?
Ain't nobody else here but me, partner.
But the wounded.
They're up the line of ways. I was sent to fetch you in.
Hodges' the name. Lieutenant, Texas volunteer.
Douglas, Lieutenant, Massachusetts Irregulars. Northwest, you said?
Yeah, you can't miss him. Up where all the shooting's going on.
Shooting.
We've been past the name-calling stage for some time now, Lieutenant.
You mean that creek bed?
I know it isn't much, but we call it home. Think you can squeeze it in?
With a shoehorn, maybe.
If we told him he was going to have company, we'd straighten up the parlor.
Better timed, Lieutenant. They're all ready for you. I'll have the corpsman load them on the plane.
Well.
They're in critical shape. Both of them. It's imperative they have immediate surgery.
Doc, I can't carry two men.
But I was told
that was before. The plans had to be changed. Taking the route I'd intended, I was a clay pigeon for the Japanese sharpshooters. I was forced to circle their positions.
Well, I don't understand. What has that got to do with the number of wounded you can evacuate?
I'm carrying an extra fuel load. Enough to take us back the same way I came, but the added weight, the ship's too heavy to accommodate the three of us. I can take one now and come back later for the other.
How long will that be?
Shaving it close, 3 hours.
Without surgery, both these men will be dead in 3 hours.
Couldn't you,
Look around you, Lieutenant. I can't perform any complex surgery. It's impossible.
I wish I could take them both, Doc, but that chopper's stripped to the bare bones now. I'm sorry. You'll just have to decide.
Decide?
Which one I'm to take.
No, you don't. You're not going to do that to me. You're the pilot. You decide.
You want me to decide which man lives and which one dies?
That's about the size of it.
I can't do that.
Well, somebody has to.
It's okay. I'll decide.
I didn't know you were conscious, Cheney. I thought the drug I gave you would put you under.
It's all right, Doc. I didn't hear nothing I should know. Listen. You take the corporal for a seat. I can wait.
Cheney, now listen to me.
I'm fooling, Doc. I'm feeling fine. I'm coasting now. Honest. You take the corporal first. Come back and pick me up. Don't worry. I'll be at the same address.
Sure you will, soldier.
What he said was...
Talk, that's all. His pain isn't easing up. If anything, it's growing worse.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Well, have you decided?
Have them both ready to take off in 15 minutes.
Both? But how? What about the weight of the ship?
Sergeant?
I understood you to say you needed all your fuel.
Only if I circle the Japanese going back.
If? Surely you're not going to fly over them.
It's the straightest route back, isn't it?
But you may be shot down.
That thought has also occurred to me.
You better take another squint at your gas gauge, partner. We must have dumped half the tank already.
All right, cut it off. Okay, Captain, we're ready to load the wounded.
If you just had some artillery.
Artillery's heavy and also takes up space.
Just the same, you ought to have some protection.
Maybe I can bluff him.
Now, how you gonna bluff a man with a gun in his hand?
By making him think I've got a bigger one in mind. Soldier, hold up a minute. Reckon you could spare me a few of these mortar shells, Tex?
Sure thing, partner. Be my guest. Hate come up lemons on you, Lieutenant. But ain't there just one little thing you're overlooking?
What's that?
These ain't Texas cotton balls, you know. What about the extra weight?
Dump some more gas.
But, Lieutenant, we already dumped more than you can spare.
I can't help that. Still have to lighten the load some more. I'll just have to keep the fuel mixture lean and pray for a strong tailwind.
Hurry back. I'll have some more customers for you.
Only one at a time, huh, Doc?
You and me both, Doc.
Bombing with 6 mortar shells. They don't know I've only got 6. You see, earlier today when I tried to fly over their lines, word of my coming spread so quickly I was forced to turn back. Now this time I'm going to make sure I get the right kind of advance publicity. Not bad for a guy who wouldn't know a bomb sight from a cocktail shaker. You hear that, soldier?
I don't hear nothing now, sir. Real quiet.
That's what I mean. It's not me that you have to make up to, fellas. Here's a baby who you owe the apology to. Henceforth, in referring to my egg-beater, you will call it sir.
Yes, Master.
I'll be back in a moment to tell you more about Captain Douglas and the helicopter. Enough, the story you have just seen was based on the actual experience of Captain James H. Brown, who is now technical advisor on our flight television series. As a matter of fact, in 1945, I decorated him with the Air Medal for the bravery displayed in the mission you just saw. Because of men like him, the helicopter today is recognized as one of our most useful and versatile instruments of flight.